Learners, today we're going to be talking about styles, learning styles to be more specific. Each of us has a particular learning style that we prefer. Not necessarily do we have one particular learning style that we utilize, but we absolutely have a particular learning style that we prefer. Do you like to learn by listening? Do you like to learn by seeing? Do you like to learn by handling whatever you're doing, writing, drawing? Do you like to learn by touching, kinesthetic learning? No time do you have one particular learning style that is utilized all the time. You're able mentally to go in and out of each learning style based on a particular delivery method and based on the best method for you to understand at that time. As you do research on learning styles, and I hope you will do some on your own, you'll see that there is even research out there that says that nobody has a particular learning style. I will tell you, challenge that for yourself. As with all things we do in college, critically think for yourself. Don't be a sheep. Don't follow what the sheep do. So if someone says, my favorite learning style is hands-on, guarantee you if you talk to them, you'll find that they also utilize listening as well as visual learning. They may use a combination of all three, with hands-on being the way they cement the learning into their long-term memory. But certainly, they have to see it, they have to hear it, and they have to do it in order for it to become a part of long-term memory. That's really what it comes down to. Someone may tell you, for example, oh, my favorite way of learning is to see what's going on. I like it when the professor writes it on the board. Think about that for a second. I like it when the professor writes it on the board, and that's my favorite way of learning. Are you now saying that there is no other way that you're going to learn? So if you actually physically do what your professor has done, such as a math problem, you're not going to learn it better if you actually hands-on it? And if that's the case, why do you even work through the math problems if you can learn it just by looking at it? What about if you're an auditory learner and the professor says XYZ equals B? Can you now do that? Can you now really understand algebra by just listening to the professor talk about how to do it? Or do you also need to work on that? Work on that word math problem. Work on it to the point that you begin to understand it. So yes, you might have heard the professor talk about it, but then you saw the professor work on it. Then you worked on the math problem yourself until you understood it. It's all three methods of learning. And if you happen to be the kinesthetic learner, if you just started doing math problems without hearing them or seeing them, are you going to be effective? I question that. I question your ability to be that successful. So what I'm asking each and every one of you to do is to consider that you are all three learners. You may prefer a particular type. For example, I need to see it. I need to hear the explanation, but I absolutely must work through it in order for me to be successful. Meaning I'm a hands-on learner. Yet, I know that I cannot be successful if I just hear it or see it. I also know I cannot be successful if I just hear it. I also know I cannot be successful if I just see it. And I cannot absolutely be successful if it's just hands-on without the other two. So I'm all three. I guarantee you are as well. So what that means is, as you go into the classroom, it's more important you understand what your professor's teaching style is. Are they visual? Write a lot of stuff, a lot of PowerPoints, a lot of presentation. Are they an auditory? minimum presentation, a lot of talking, or they're kinesthetic? A lot of handouts, a lot of you doing the work. Well, if that professor is X, Y, or Z, meaning visual, auditory, kinesthetic type teacher, and you happen to be kinesthetic, not auditory, in your favorite way of receiving mode of receiving the education, then it's up to you to figure out what style you have to take and transfer from that professor into your learning style. In other words, if you need a lot of visual when the professor's talking, you're drawing visual. If you need a lot of kinesthetic when the professor's talking, you're drawing visual, as well as by hands-on connecting that material to what the professor is saying. If you're the type of person that is a listener and you need to hear the professor talking and the professor doesn't talk a lot, you write it down, draw it out, do whatever you must do, and then at the first chance you get, you make a recording of your voice explaining to you what the professor was talking about. That way, while you're in your car or you're sitting home or you're listening, you can actually listen to the lesson to connect it with your visual and kinesthetic learning that you put down on paper. There's a way to do this. You just have to critically think the best way for you. Having said that, learning styles are absolutely important. Learning styles are important, especially when you connect it to your personality. Are you an introvert? Or are you an extrovert? If you're an introvert, you have those four top. You have to look at those four top and determine what is the best way for your personality to deal with the lesson. If you're an extrovert, look at the four top. Figure out what is the best way for you to use your personality to deal with the lesson. Sometimes an introvert, you have to step up, speak up if you don't understand what the professor is saying. Sometimes as an extrovert, you have to sit back, listen, and engage with others to understand the material. Either way you put it, your personality does impact your ability to learn from your professor. Utilizing your learning style and utilizing your ability to understand your personality and the personality of your professor means you have a powerful combination that will help you to be successful in any class that you're taking. Going in there, sitting back, waiting for that professor to make that connection with you means that you may be waiting a long time. Most professors don't try to deliver to all the learning styles. So you have to figure out the best way to receive that material in your particular learning style based on your personality type. I hope this helps you to better understand yourself and the people you're engaging with. If not, please come and talk to me. I'm always happy to help you to make connections. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy this journey that you're on.